Good day everyone, Thomas Craig here with Advanced System Solutions. Today we're looking at a Latitude 3580 that needs a screen replacement. The half of the monitor is not being displayed. So the tools that we are going to need for today's project are going to be a small flathead screwdriver, a larger Phillips screwdriver, a small Phillips screwdriver, a pair of needle nose pliers, and if you're my age, you're going to need some magnifying glasses to see the small cable that we'll be dealing with inside of the monitor. So the issue with the laptop, as you can see, is when we turn it on, you can only see part of the monitor. So what we've done is we've ordered a new monitor from Dell, and we're going to get that replaced. This isn't a laptop that we can remove the battery on, so we're just going to go ahead and get started. It's not plugged in. Make sure you unplug your laptop. And in addition, I must say that don't try this at home. It can be difficult if you don't know what you're doing, or if you don't have a good idea of electronics. This might not be the best thing for you to try. There is a secret tool that we will need that's not shown here, and that's the secret tool is the steak knife. That's right. I've been working with computers many years, and there's a few different tools that come in and work well. The letter opener was great, but the steak knife works much better. So here's what I'm talking about. A lot of these videos on YouTube will show you what it looks like after you've opened up the device, but I wanted to show you what it looks like from the very beginning. So this has never been opened before, and what we're going to do is we go to the sides, because these are usually the best area to slide the knife in. As you can see, it just goes in rather simply there, and we're just going to slowly start to pop it up, going down about a half an inch to an inch each time. And eventually what will happen is, as you may have just seen there at the bottom, we can now get underneath it there. So that's what you're going to shoot to do all the way around. So I'm going to do that really quick. I say really quick, but you'll want to take time to not damage it. Now, if you've ordered a replacement monitor from Dell, they include the black bezel that goes around the outside of the screen. So you really don't have to take as great a care as I'm doing here. But we want to get that adhesive off all the way around. And as I say, this is what I found to be the best way to do just that. So there we are, we're about halfway done. So we've gotten just about the entire top done here. Now we've got to come along the bottom, using that same method of going along about an inch each time and very slowly popping it up. So there, as you can see, we've made our way all the way around, and all parts are now free. The last part is these two hinges, and again, you don't have to be so careful if you have the replacement bezel, but in case you don't, here's a good trick. Take our flat screwdriver, slowly pry it in there, and you should be able to pop that out without any problem at all. Here again we see it on the other side. Again, I'll take the flathead screwdriver, the smaller one, put it in here, if I can get it in there. There we go. And you should be able to pop that right out. And there we go, the bezel's been removed with no damage, no scrapes whatsoever. So that steak knife really is a good solution for this. Our next step is going to be remove the 4 screws from around the outer edge of the monitor. Look at the top left one right here. As you can see, there's a screw there, a screw on the top right that we'll need to remove, same place, and then bottom right you'll see a screw right down here, the very tiny one, and again on the bottom left. We'll zoom in, we have to move a bit of the tape there, but you can see that screw on the bottom left. So those are the 4 that we're going to pull out really quick here. For this I'll use my smaller Phillips. I would also suggest that you do not lose these screws, and if you do, they are hard to find if they go rolling. So I use a small magnet. Of course I don't leave the magnet near the computer, but I use a small magnet to hold those screws while I'm working on the device. Okay. For our next step, we're going to need to get to the other side of the monitor here, so we're going to fold it down. And as you can see, now we have access to this small piece of tape in the back. Again, we're going to use our small small flathead to get under there and remove this piece of tape. Once that piece of tape is removed, it exposes this connector down here. We are going to reach in. There's a small pin, not even the size of a safety pin, or a paper clip that we popped up there, and that allows us to push this connector right out the back. And our old monitor has now been removed. I'm going to reach over and grab the new monitor. Sorry if I made a cameo in there. Now this is the difficult part, because it's nearly impossible to put this connector back in without removing this bar right here. So you need to remove this screw to remove this bar, which exposes that cable, to make it a little bit easier to slide in there. So I'm going to loosen this screw. Actually, I'm going to take this one out. I'm going to try to loosen it, not remove it all the way, because that bar can be a pain, which is why we would need the needle nose pliers if we can't get that back in. So there we go. I've got the cable out, and for safety's sake I'm going to put the right screw back in before that bar falls, hopefully. There we go. Because if that bar falls down in there, it's going to take you a minute to get it out, but don't panic, it'll come out. But what we wanted to do is to expose this cable here so that we can pull it off the glue and give ourselves a little bit more room to make this connection. Now that we've done that, you'll see that this connection should go right in. However, this is where our handy dandy magnifying glasses come in for those of us over 45. Here a clip, and you can push down that outer paper clip that I was talking about, that safety bar there. Take very good care not to bend these pins though, because if you do, it is certainly no fun to buy another replacement monitor after having just bought one. That was a good snap. I didn't feel it the first time. Okay, so now that we're connected, I'll give it a little tug just to make sure. Yeah, everything's feeling well, so I'll put the tape back down. point, we're going to replace the bar that held in that wire. Back into place, which will allow our bar to come back up and over it. Screw popped out. Try that again. I should have mentioned that one other tool that would be needed during this project would be the theme to Jeopardy. Thank you all for your patience as we put this back together. That bar is now back in place that holds that wire in. So we're going to put the monitor back up. Reach over and grab one of our tiny screws here, our tiny Phillips. Now the smart thing to do at this point would be to test the monitor and make sure that it comes on properly before we put the bezel back on and the adhesive. So that's what we'll be doing. Let's put another couple of screws in here and we'll just test and verify that our work and our new monitor are working properly. As well, I should mention, if there's any other videos that you'd like to see, any other hardware replacement tips, any other software tips, let us know, send us a message. We'll see what we can do to get that posted for you. So let's give it a whirl. We've got our fingers crossed here. And well, that monitor certainly looks an awful lot better to me. So at this point, we'll take our new bezel, and there may be a more appropriate term for it, but that's what we're calling it in today's video. We'll start by removing the piece of tape over the webcam cover, because that would certainly be hard once you put it back on. We'll remove the top piece of tape. Now what this is doing is showing a small layer of adhesive that is going to stick to the monitor. This is the last piece here, this little blue strip, so always the hardest. Save the hardest for last. Okay, so now we've removed the tape for the webcam cover, we've exposed the adhesive strip. So we're going to work to put this back on. Now, one of the hardest parts first is to put the clips back on. So we're going to go back to our flathead screwdriver, and you're just going to want to massage these out a little bit. You'll see, I'll try to show you on the side view here. You can see that the lip comes back around. You're going to want to bend that bottom part down just a little bit around the hinge. You'll get a good feel for it once you start to go at it. Just use my finger and kind of pop that back in. fold the monitor down to give me a little bit more room in there. Again, it almost seems like you might break it. But that's the importance of keeping the other one so nice when you took it out. So if you do happen to break this, we've got another one to fall back on. But there we go, they both snapped in very nicely, no damage at all. One thing I neglected to mention is we want to remove the protective layer off the monitor. I do this after I get the bezel in, so that way there's no damage to the screen and it all looks very neat. Okay, so the last step is we've got to get this back together, so we're going to start at the top right, and you'll just push around and you'll feel it snap in as you go along. Don't force anything, just sit there and slowly massage it as you go around. If you miss a piece, come back around and you'll get it. Go along the bottom, we're making sure all that adhesive is stuck together nicely. We'll fold it down and give everything one last good push. And this side is our last spot. And that wraps it up. I hope that you found this video useful. Please send me a comment and let me know. Have a great day, everyone.